Welcome to Aztecs Now for the undefeated, let me say it again, the undefeated San Diego State Aztecs with a win over Cal Poly here, Army there, Washington State here, in front of 57,000 people, a huge crowd, when they just sucked the air out of the stadium on an 80-yard touchdown pass, but the Aztecs come right on back. The Aztecs would tie it on the 13-yard touchdown run by number 13, Ronnie Hillman. Washington State gets a field goal, but on the next drive, the Aztecs respond again. Run, Ronnie, run. 12-yard run for the touchdown. Aztecs ahead 14-10 after one quarter. Then in the second quarter, Washington State with the ball, Larry Parker. I mean, those corners, McFadden 2, Larry Parker 29, gets the Lobestall, forces the fumble. Aztecs come away with the ball, 17-14, down 3 at halftime. Then in the third quarter, Washington State goes up 24-14, 78-yard touchdown pass for the Aztecs. Come back so strong. Stahovich on the punt. Pinkins, an enormous hit on Leon Brooks. Cougars would be called for roughing the kicker. Huge turnaround in the ball game. Watch number 88 from Ryan Lindley, 25-yard touchdown to Gavin Escobar, sophomore tight end, and big-time play right there. Defense, incredible second half. Jerome Long had a sack at Army, gets another one here, one of his 2 on the day. After 3 quarters, the Cougars 24-21. Then in the fourth, Aztecs quarter, leading 28-24. Defense recovers a fumble, and then, number 13 takes the ball 59 yards, breaking tackles, great moves to find daylight into the end zone, 35-24. And then Washington State with the ball. Larry Parker out on the island out there, number 29. Second interception of the game. 2 straight drives to stop those drives with interceptions. Returns the ball 32 yards. Lindley, yes. 88 Escobar. Final score, 42-24. 3-0. Your Aztecs for the first time since 1981. With the undefeated coach of the undefeated Aztecs, Rocky Long, I mentioned, and people see this, and I know you see this too, because you've mentioned that, the mental toughness. You said during camp, well, they're not as tough as I want them to be, but they're better, they're getting there. I'm convinced those are the kind of games at Army and Washington State that maybe do not get to be wins a couple of years ago. Your guys responded, I thought, big time.
Oh, I thought we responded well, especially when we got down in the third quarter. Now, I'd also like to put a shout out to the fans and the student body, too, because I think that's the first time I've felt a home field advantage. And the energy in the stadium helps a home team overcome some obstacles sometimes. And I thought we were a little shaky there, and I think our players are tough, I think, but I think the fan support got us over the hump, too.
And it's the way that you're suddenly anticipation, and a lot of people weren't there. They were either tailgating and coming in later, but the ones that were there early, 80-yard pass, the air gets sucked out of a stadium. It's so easy to get down. Like you said, suddenly you're down 10 early third. And I thought your defense, Rocky, second half, it's one of those, well, somebody's got to make a play. Somebody's got to make a play. And they did.
Well, I thought overall the defense played well. You know, the 2 80-yarders, one screen pass in the second half, and the one you just mentioned, the very first play they had the ball was 80-yard touchdown pass. That kind of puts a damper on things. But overall, if you don't count those 2, which you've got to count those 2, but if you don't count those 2, we played pretty good defense with a team that's averaging 600 yards and 60-some points. That's pretty good defense.
And it's interesting to me because I know the coaches always talking about polls. I don't care about polls. I don't care what the media says about polls or even coaches say about polls. Whoever picked these guys to be last in the Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever, they're nuts because I've seen UCLA and others, and Washington State is better. You were not lying. They are good.
I think they're right in the middle of the Pac-12. Yeah. I think they're gonna surprise a couple teams. They're better than several teams in that league. Yep. I think they're gonna be right in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, that 86, by the way, Marquise Wilson, he could play for me anytime. Wow.
He could play for us, and they had about 3 other receivers that could have played for us too.
Man, they were good. They were good. You mentioned your defense. Liam McFadden, number 2, Larry Parker, number 29. I mean, these guys, they're out there on the island. They get burned. They come right back. We've talked about this with players. That kind of mental toughness, those guys, I thought, came up big.
Well, in our defense, we put them on an island, like you said. I thought Larry Parker had the perfect corners game in our defense. I mean, he's struggling up there. He covers a guy, and they call interference. He's got a guy covered, and they throw a perfect pass, and the guy catches it down the sidelines. A lot of guys could give up and quit right there, and instead he had the best game of his career. Intercepts a pass on a fade route. Later on, intercepts a pass, gets us in scoring position. I mean, that's the perfect corners game in our defense.
That was big time. And your turnovers, I mean, none for the first 2 games. I've never been associated with a team that's done that personally, by the way, not here. And that's been fantastic. And then 1 interception after, my gosh, Ryan had 212 consecutive without interceptions, and then the low snap. Still a minimum. I'm assuming you're happy with that because it really helps win the ball games big time.
Yeah, ball security is an amazing thing. If you don't give the game away, you got a chance to win every game. And turnover ratio in a close game, turnover ratio is always the most important thing. Who gets it turned over and who doesn't? Well, the team that has the best turnover ratio is going to win in a close football game.
Chargers prove that because the Patriots got the takeaways, and they got the game. You were concerned about the defensive line. I thought Jerome Long again. Those guys have come up. Sack, a couple of big plays. You been pleased with them?
Yeah, I thought Jerome had a good game, but overall I thought I wasn't real happy with the run defense, but I was real happy with the pass rush. I mean, early in the game we're not getting sacks, but the quarterback's getting knocked down.
Right. And
anytime a quarterback gets knocked down, might not be right then, but later on he's not going to throw the ball very well. And then later on he held the ball a little bit too long, and we got some sacks in the deal.
With Rocky Long and Aztecs Now, they're 3-0. Can't get better than that. And a rather large game. We'll discuss. Here we go with the Brady Hoke stuff. I know Coach is going to love this. We'll talk about that. Michigan as we move on here with Aztecs Now in a moment.
Draw play. Here he comes. There breaks the tackle. He's going to score. Marshall Faulk is sparked across the middle. Touchdown.
Aztec for life. You know.
Back with Rocky Long and the undefeated Aztecs, getting ready for Michigan after a win over a Washington State club. I loved your comment. When people give you stats and stuff, as if coaches are into that sort of thing. You know, it's been 19 consecutive games against the 10. And Rocky said, I don't give a damn about conference. You don't. It's a football team. It's not coach against coach. It's football team against football team. You don't really care about the conference, do you? Now it's going to be the Big Ten. You don't care.
No, I think if we consider ourselves Division I, if they're Division I, you know, it's an equal match. It's an equal game. I thought that going into Washington State, and I don't think any differently because it's Michigan.
Yeah, I understand that. I thought their offensive line, Washington State, was big. It was good. Their quarterback was really accurate, good quick release. You had the running back, though. I thought you had the best running back on the field, and what a difference that made. This number 13 is special, isn't he?
Yeah, he's special. He's by far the best running back that's been on the field the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We'll see if he is this week, too, but we have a pretty good feel that he's going to be the best running back most of the time on the field. And he's for us, which makes a huge difference.
Oh, and I just thought, you know, Rocky, I saw it on the last touchdown in terms of breaking arm tackles. And where I saw it was on I think the last, not the last, but one of the touchdowns against Cal Poly when he went Walter Payton on these guys and stiff-armed them twice. And I thought, man, he's bigger and stronger. Last year, I don't think he does that.
Well, I think the most impressed I was when he was in piles because they played really good run defense early. And he would get in a hole and there'd be a pile, but the pile never went backwards. It always went forward. That means he's pretty strong and powerful, too, besides his quickness and able to make people miss.
Boy, he's something. He is really something. If you're not out there to see this guy, those of you who watch Marshall Faulk, and I'm not saying he's Marshall Faulk, but he's the biggest thing and the best thing since. And that's really saying something. That is a compliment to Ronnie anytime they're talking about Marshall Faulk. The big guy, Escobar. Couple of drop passes early, but man, late did he ever make up for it. Those are big-time plays.
We've got good tight ends. All of them can catch the ball. They block well. I mean, he's a big target. I mean, you can cover him and still not get to the ball, and he still can make the reception like he did on the last touchdown. That was pretty good coverage. He was just too tall and out-jumped the guy for the ball, and it ended up 7 points for us.
The Brady Hoke stuff, I know you got tired of it early on, but you understand that's the normal type of media story that, wow, it's Brady against Rocky, and go get him.
Well, it's funny. Brady and I are real good friends.
Sure.
I mean, we've been friends for a long time. Him and I have talked. We haven't talked lately, but him and I have talked since the season has started. He knows he can't play anymore and maybe wasn't any good ever. I know I can't play anymore, and I probably wasn't any good ever anyway. So the hype about coaches being involved, we're involved up till game time. because we're trying to prepare our teams for the game.
Sure.
Once the game starts, we have very little control of what happens. It's players against players.
Yep.
It's not players against their coach. It's not their players against our coaches. It doesn't matter who the coaches are. It's players against players.
And Rocky was a heck of a quarterback. I've seen the films on Rocky way back when. And Brady was a good linebacker at Ball State, but as Coach said, he never was any good anyway. Brady, you get that? Did you get that one? That's a quote from Rocky Long. People didn't think he would be able to build it this fast, to be this good, and beat Notre Dame. How good, he said, are they?
They're good. I mean, they have talented players, and they have great coaches. I think Brady's a great coach, but he's also got a really, really good staff. So those kids have been coached really well. They're playing at a high rate, at a high tempo right now. They're playing with confidence, and they've got really good recruits. So they've got some talented players, so that makes for a good team.
And the deal is, and you've asked me, I've been going through this before, in terms of, well, he knows you. He's coached with you. He knows the 3-3-5. The guys there, Al Borges and all the others that he took with him, the assistant coaches, they know your players, your strengths, your weaknesses. Does that make it difficult or not?
Well, I think they have an advantage.
Yeah.
They have an advantage because Al and I have coached together at UCLA and at San Diego State. So Al's seen it from the bottom up. He's been against it daily in practice. So they have a real advantage that way. I think Al understands our defense as well as anybody will or can. I also think they have an advantage. They know our players better than we know their players.
Right.
So they have some advantages preparing for the game. But once the game starts, I'm going to say it again, once the game starts, it's players against players. It's about players executing. It's about players preparing for the game, and then the team that plays the best during that game will win the game.
Rock, this might be a stupid question because you're 3-0. So you're satisfied with 3-0, but in terms of the development of what you wanted to see from defensive line, you were concerned. From the receivers, you were concerned. Are you happy with that?
I think we're making progress. You know, you're never going to be happy until you put a perfect product out there, which you'll never do. But I think our defensive line is making strides. We still got a long way to go. I think our receivers, you see flashes of our receivers being really good. But you also see flashes of them being inconsistent where they'll drop a pass when they're open and that sort of thing. I think the receivers will be fine halfway through the season. I think here in the next 3 games, our defensive line is going to have to grow up dramatically because of who we play the next 3 weeks.
Amen. Hey, Rock, you made a lot of people happy. It's a big, big game.
Thank you.
Big, big win over Washington State. It was a really good team. We'll continue with number 2, all-conference corner Leon McFadden. He and Larry Parker had some big, big moments out there, as Coach mentioned. We'll have him here as we continue with Aztecs Now in a moment.
Hands it off, slam dunk. The crowd going bananas. Rayhan baseline for 3, got it! Here come the Aztecs. Alley-oop to Jamal Franklin. Slam dunk.
Don't stop believing.
Draw play, here he comes. He'll break the tackle. He's gonna score! Explodes across the middle. Touchdown.
Aztecs for life. You know.
Back with Aztecs Now with number 2, who you saw on Saturday and in the previous 2 games, all-conference cornerback Leon McFadden. Leon, that was, I guarantee you, we talked about this, that's the kind of game, and no offense to last year's club early on or the years before, but those are the kind of games we saw where the Aztecs would get down and woulda, coulda, shoulda, well, they could have won, they might have won, but they didn't win those games. The difference now is palpable. I mean, it's big time how you guys do not quit, and yet opportunities to do that.
Yeah, we did. I think, this year's team, we were really harping on finishing. I think sometimes last year we didn't finish like we wanted to, And, Coach Long was harping about competing and taking their will, and that's what we did on Saturday.
Boy, it's the truth. Because, I mean, the air on the first play here, 2 different teams you played, triple option. Now here's a spread offense. Right. And they got big guys out there, 6'4", and 6'2". And the first play, they go 80 yards. You can hear the air sift out of the stadium. And the kind of thing where players could put their heads down. Or I thought when you were down by 10 early, 3 minutes into the third quarter, you guys are down by 10. That's a fold the tent kind of situation. Where do you get the will to think that, I know you got to think you're good enough, but the will to not say, oh, man, here we go again? Well,
before the game, Coach Long talked about, they're a good team. They're going to make plays. But our job is to, take those plays and go to the next play, like just flush it down the toilet and go and think about the next play and compete. Don't worry about what happened in the past. We'll fix that.
This defense, we've talked so much about it. And because the pros do a lot of that now, and nickel packages or whatever, 3-3-5, but you don't see it much in college. How difficult has it been for you to go into this, to learn this from Rocky for the last couple of years, and not, as they say, think about it. He thinks these guys have made great improvements. They're not quite there yet, mastering it. How hard is it?
At first it's pretty hard, understanding, the whole defense as a whole, but at the corner position it's pretty simple, either in man and zone. But the defense overall, everybody has, learned it to a T. And we're all coming together, and that's why I think we're coming together so good this year.
It's tough out there, corner. It's it's the island.
It's the island. You're all by yourself.
You're like closers in baseball, like Trevor Hoffman and guys like that, where they say have short-term memory. Right. Where you say, boy, that save you blew yesterday, and Trevor would say, what save? What are you talking about? I don't even remember. It happened yesterday. You might get burned, and you will get burned. Everybody does. The greatest. Deion Sanders got burned. It's how do you do that mentally tough to just say, forget about it. I did it in front of all these people. This guy burned me, but now I got to get ready for the next play. That's not easy.
No, it's not at all. It's really hard. It really challenges your mental toughness. And, at the end of the day, you have to just chalk it up as a loss and keep going.
It's hard. It's easy to say. It's hard to do. You're going to be asked 7,000 times, so let me be the first this week. You're going against your former coach. And at a big school at 110,000 people, this is an interesting week, isn't it?
Yes, it's interesting. It's a great college atmosphere, and even though Coach Hoke left us, I wish him the best of luck, and we understand the decision why he left.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting because some of the newspapers have mentioned the fact, well, Brady, he sent a text. He didn't have a meeting. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't kiss. He didn't this and that. Do you guys harbor any ill will about that as players or not?
No, we understand his decision of leaving, and that's about it. We necessarily didn't complain about it. We understood.
He mentioned this was his job. Yeah. And the defense of Brady Holcomb I like very much. Not that it matters personally. Even when he took the interview here, he said, they asked him, would you leave? And he said, I'd leave for one job, my dream job, Michigan. So in terms of him finally getting an opportunity to do it, I assume he had to take it, had to go.
Yeah.
So there it is. What about his team? What about his team in terms of how good they are? Because people thought, man, it's going to take him several years. Maybe not.
They're a good team, but we're going to prepare for this team as we prepare for the last teams. Competing and working hard.
Lamb, McFadden, number 2, man, you have played extremely well. You've been all academic. How you can do that with all the film sessions and the meetings and carry a caseload in terms of a course load? Not easy, is it?
No, not easy at all.
And you've done it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's number 2, Lamb McFadden, the all-conference cornerback. Coming up next, Ryan Donovan, men's coach, golf, San Diego State, talking about a national championship in 2012. We'll come back and examine that and find out why when we return with Aztecs Now in a moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your continued support.
On behalf of our 500-plus student athletes, 19 head coaches, numerous assistant coaches and staff members,
thank you for your support of the Aztec Club. We couldn't do it without your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and go Aztecs.
Draw play, here he comes. There takes a tackle. He's going to score! Marshall Faulk explodes across the middle. Touchdown!
Aztec for life, you know.
Last season, the men's golf team at San Diego State wins 7 tournaments, advanced to the Nationals. Now, the best news, they returned 4 out of 5 of their golfers from last year to this year. That's why Ryan Donovan is talking the chance of a national championship. He sat down with our colleague Mike Costa.
We are joined by the 2011 Mountain West Coach of the Year. Took his teams to the Nationals. Head golf coach here at San Diego State University, Ryan Donovan. Coach, was it a busy summer for you? I mean, looking back on the spring and the summer for your Aztecs golf team, personally and professionally, was it busy for you?
Definitely. Well, I got married in June.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much. And then with recruiting, the remaining of the summer, getting ready for the fall, I feel like I, just ended the national championship. So here we are again, back in action.
Did it roll around rather quickly based on how busy you were in the spring? Did you get a chance to maybe, take a step back and catch your breath a little bit?
Definitely. Well, on my honeymoon, I went down to Honduras, so I didn't bring my computer and just shut it down for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that was definitely needed. But I'm fresh now. The guys are fresh, and we're getting real excited to get started next week.
Looking back at last season, you win 7 tournaments. You win the Mountain West Conference. You get to the Tucson Regionals. Looking at the talent you had before the season began, did you have any inkling you were going to be that good?
I think winning that many times, I'm not sure of, but I think the talent was there. They were guys that were there a year or two beforehand, so they were just developing and finally maturing. So I knew the talent was there. It was just a matter of getting it all out of them.
After the Nationals were over, I know the guys didn't really take a lot of time off. What did they do over the summer to work on their game, getting ready for now?
The biggest thing with this group and the most impressive thing for me is they played a lot of tournaments. Mm-hmm. And those tournaments are on their own dime and their own time. But they really committed to the summer to really play and compete. And I can see that the first couple weeks back in school, they look better than they did last year.
Looking ahead now, you returned 4 of the 5 guys who had that Nationals experience. What do you expect from the group this year?
I expect to win conference again. I expect to contend, at the national level and hopefully get in the Final 8 for match play. I think that's my goal as well as the team's goal. And we have depth this year. That's the biggest difference. And guys with experience and they're hungry. So it should be a good year for the Aztecs.
At the end of the month, you kick off with the Husky Invitational. You get the season ramped up. You've got a pretty tough schedule this year. Is that the way you want it?
Definitely. Yeah, I like to put the guys up against the best players in the country, see where we stack up, and I think we can play with anyone right now. So I'm not afraid to go and see those opponents.
Talk about some of the new fresh faces who will be wearing the red and black for the first time this year.
Well, first guy I'm really excited about, he actually was Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Year for us a few years back. He's back on the roster this year, and name of Matt Hoffenberg from Simi Valley. So I'm excited to have him back. My 2 freshmen, Wilson Bateman from Canada, just finished 3rd at the Canadian Amateur, really solid player. And then I got a player from Texas, Tad Darlin, just a great kid. So I think those 3 guys really add the depth to this program.
A busy spring, an equally busy summer. Again, congratulations on the nuptials for you.
Thank you.
And best of luck this fall.
Thank you.
Ryan, thanks for the time.
All right.
That is Aztecs Now for an undefeated Aztec club. Just an amazing start. And the Washington State team, so good. Aztecs win so big. Now they'll leave on Thursday, get to Ann Arbor, and play the University of Michigan. Last time they were there, and almost woulda, coulda, shoulda. We'll see about this year. That game is on the Big Ten Network. If you get that on your cable service or on AM 600, I'll have the radio broadcast for you for the undefeated San Diego State Aztecs against Brady Hoke and Michigan. Thanks for watching on Aztecs Now.